Welcome to How-FixIT. Today I'll show you what you can do if your iPhone XR fell and cracked, the rear glass crashes and the case is very damaged, like it's happened with this iPhone. For example, you decide to completely change the case. Then you have the opportunity. You can make the iPhone 11 from your iPhone XR using this rear case. This case is specially designed for iPhone XR, but the back cover is the same as on the iPhone 11. And in this video I will show you how to completely disassemble iPhone XR to the last button, to the last screw, and transfer everything to a new case in the iPhone 11 style. But before start disassembling, I will show you what tools you will need for this repair. The first and most important tool is a set of screwdrivers. You will need 4 types of screwdrivers. Second, a plastic mediator. Next, tweezers, plastic opening tool, section cup for removing display, adhesive tape for restore water protection, and adhesive silicone tape for the battery. For all these tools and spare parts, I will leave link in the description under the video. And the last very important auxiliary tool, without which I do not start any complicated repairs, is a magnetic mat. Using it, you can step by step to lay out each screws and do it with magnetic base. These screws and metal parts will remain in place. All this very important when all screws are different size, like in iPhone XR, and it's very important when you reassemble it back. Before you start disassembly, do not forget to turn off the iPhone, and you can immediately remove the tray with a SIM card. Remove 2 screws near the charging port, and let's begin to open the case. To open the case, you need to heat up the surface of display. Even an ordinary hairdryer will be enough for this. Warm up the lower part of the display especially well. From here we begin to open the case. Fix the section cup on the bottom of the display and pull up ring up until a small gap appears between the display and iPhone case. Next, push mediator inside and begin to unstick the iPhone case from the display. In the iPhone XR, it's not always easy to open the case. If you cannot push the mediator, try using a thin plastic cut. Also, do not strongly push the mediator inside the phone, so as not to damage the internal elements and cables. Turn the display to the right side, that is, open the case like a book. You can fix the section cup in the middle of the display and use it as a support. The first what you do when open the iPhone, it is to disconnect the battery cable from the main board. The display removed, it will no longer be needed, so put it away and go directly to the removal of all parts from iPhone XR. Let's start the disassembly from the bottom of iPhone. In the process of disassembling the smartphone, there is nothing complicated. The main thing is to lay out all removed parts and screws in order, so it's not to get confusing during the reassembly. The speaker in the iPhone XR is glued to the bottom of case, and if you want to keep the factory adhesive tape and reuse it when reassembling, heat up with the hairdryer and at the same time unstick the speaker. In my case, I didn't peel off perfectly, but even this can be reused. Let's move on and go to the motherboard. When motherboard no longer holds a cable with a charging connector, it can be removed. The cable is glued to the case, so use hairdryer again. The smartphone battery is glued to the case with the silicone tapes, so take the tweezers and unstick edge of the silicone tape. Now pull the tape away from the battery. Yes, often this silicone tapes tear and remain under the battery, but there is nothing critical, I will remove it later. Next step is removal of Face ID module. Be careful with cables of Face ID module. They are glued to the case and they need to be peeled off. Take a plastic tool and carefully, prying from the bottom, begin to peel off the cables. You can additionally warm with a head jar, then it will be even easier to separate it from the case. All the main parts already removed from the case, so there is left to remove only buttons, wireless charging module and flash diffuser. This cable is also glued, so it's very carefully peel it off with a non-sharp tool. The flash diffuser is located under this metal bracket, and it's held by these 4 metal mounts. So use tweezers to carefully bend these metal mounts and remove the bracket. The flash diffuser is glued to the case, so take a hairdryer, warm the surface and carefully remove it. The wireless charging module is glued to the case only along the edge, so you need to unstick it only around. To remove the buttons from the back housing, you will need tweezers with the sharp ends for disassemble the mechanism of button. Take the edge of this metal piece with the tweezers, pull it to the side and then towards yourself. Set aside this part of mechanism and move on. With the tip of screwdrivers, push from bottom to top on this metal part of mechanism. Now lift it vertically and pull it up. That's all. The button mechanism in iPhone XR is removed, and in this way, now you can remove the rest buttons. So all buttons are removed, and there remained one important part that needs to be removed. This is a frame that holds the camera. In my case, it is not pre-installed on new case, so I have to remove it. If it already installed on your case, then skip this step. There is one difficulty in this removal. This frame is welded to the rear case. And I also forgot to unstick this last part that fixes the diffuser. Now I'm showing you how to remove the camera's frame. Take any metal and flat tool. For example, you can take a flat screwdriver and, starting from the corner of the frame, pry the bottom. The inside of the frame, which is welded to the rear case, will begin to crack. That's all, the camera frame is removed, but as you can see, it is a little bent. But this is not a problem, the metal is soft enough. Take two mediators, put the camera frame between them and press on top. Now the frame looks quite normal. It remains to transfer several elements from the old case to a new one, and we can move into assembling the smartphone in new case. These bottom adhesive tapes can be reused if they are carefully peeled off. In my case, I don't have any new adhesive tapes, so I will peel off from the old case, especially if they're in good adhesive condition. Now take the tweezers, but preferably with not very sharp tips. Get out the plastic clamps and the small grill from the recess. Then transfer them to the new rear case. I will show you once again how it's done, but from a different angle. When pushing the grill, be very careful not to tear it. It is best to take something less sharp. Now we're doing the same thing on the other side of your case. Let's begin to install the camera frame on the new case. As you can see, from the old case, welding seams remaining on the frame. They must be removed. That's all, and now the frame perfectly fits into the case. It remains only to add glue. I will use B7000 glue. I recommend using the same glue. And also I'll glue the part that fixes the diffuser. So, before continue assembly, you need to wait 30 minutes for the glue a little harder. And also this is excellent reason to relax a bit and drink a coffee before reassembling. Reassembly process requires attention because if you make a mistake, then something may not work correctly. You will have to disassemble everything back and look for the problem. So be careful and screw everything into the right place. almost everything is assembled. It remains to stick the battery. The battery needs to be glued, and for gluing I will use the same silicone adhesive tapes that were removed from under the battery when disassembling. These silicone tapes are glued to the battery, but most important, before gluing, make sure that you glued them to the right side. The iPhone is assembled, and before gluing the case, you need to test it. For test, just connect the display. First connect 3 cables from the display, and lastly the battery cable. This is most intriguing moment. It is always interesting to find out if everything is assembled correctly. iPhone turned on, and it is already good news. And try the password code, lock the phone again, and check the Face ID model. Everything is fine, Face ID works, and this is most important in my opinion. Let's check the camera right away. Everything is fine with the camera, it focuses, the front camera also works. And now the most interesting is the flashlight. As you can see, it works and is now in the lower camera. I compared the brightness of the flashlight with another iPhone 11, and I can say with confidence that he didn't shine worse. Also check all the other functions for performance, and if everything is fine, go to the gluing of the case. Before attaching a new adhesive tape, make sure that you glue it to the right side on the back housing. This sticker restores protection against water and dust, but you should understand, this is not a factory sealed assembly, and it doesn't provide 100% protection against water and dust. And of course, this phone should not be used for underwater photo shoots. Press the sticker to the case so it sticks better. That's it, the iPhone assembled, and now we can see how it looks. The case looks pretty good. The display module fits perfectly into the case, and there are no extra gaps. Everything located on the back cover like on iPhone 11, and if you are not embarrassed that instead of the lower camera in this case is a flashlight, then it is quite stable. I think that this is a good option to replace a broken case, and if you do not go into details, the iPhone 11 differs from iPhone XR in the presence of only one additional camera. Well, you were on How-FixIT, and see you guys next time.